Hey guys, welcome to my sewing channel. My name is Shelly, and in today's video I'm going to be doing a pattern review for this dress that I'm wearing, which is McCalls 8361, and these are the instructions, not the envelope. Here it is right here. So this is McCalls 8361, and I did view C. This is a Mrs. woven dress, and I used an Ankara fabric. So this dress is perfect for spring, summer, and to be honest, I would even say fall. I mean, the sides and a lot of the back is exposed, but I think you can make it work. I could definitely see this dress being made in a heavier fabric, and even taking this skirt all the way to the floor with long sleeves. I think that might be a look, and maybe something that I'd really consider doing in the future, because I really like this dress and I can see myself making it again with a few minor adjustments, and we'll talk about that a little later. But first I'll talk about the pattern, and then we'll get into what I did and what I do different if I made this dress again. So I already showed you guys the pattern envelope, but here it is again. There are 3 views and not much variation between the views besides the longer skirt on view C and the different sleeve with each dress. So suggested fabrics are cotton blends, poplins, gingham, and shirting. I used an Ankara fabric. I will not bore you with the details about this fabric because I've talked about it in at least 2 videos already. I did a London fabric haul video that I will link in the comments that talks all about it. As far as notions go, you need elastic, an invisible zipper, and a hook and eye. I omitted the hook and eye, by the way. For view A, you would need an additional yard of elastic, and that's due to the sleeves. And for view B, you need 4 buttons for the cuff. Alright guys, so let's talk about the measurements. But first, I'd like to know if you use the body measurements or the finished garment measurements, because I feel like this is a pain point for me, because I feel like I'm not getting it right. I won't say I'm getting it wrong, but I feel like I'm not getting it right, because in the past I've always used the body measurements, and every single time without fail, whatever I'm making is too big. However, I think going forward I am going to use the finished garment measurements when I am making my determination on what size I should cut. Because for example, for this garment I measured a size 14, besides a 14 and 12 on most parts. However, if I look down at the finished garment measurements, I am between a size 8 and a size 10. So I found a few friends actually, just to ask, which body measurements do you use when deciding what size you're going to cut out? And almost 100% of them said they use the finished garment measurements, which raises the question, why are the body measurements even there? Alright, so let's talk about the pattern instructions. Y'all, this was one of the good ones. I'm sure you have experienced in these pattern instructions where there may be a step missing, there may be a step wrong, or just something super weird. And that was not the case with these instructions. I recall them being very clear. There were a lot of steps. I believe there were 86 steps. However, they went really into detail on each type of sleeve. So there was about, I don't know, 4 to 6. There were a few different pattern steps for each sleeve. So if you omit those for the other 2 sleeves that you do not plan to do, that takes away a lot of the steps. For view C, which is the dress that I have on, there were 12 different pattern pieces that needed to be cut, and there was also a lot of interfacing. However, I omitted a few pieces of the interfacing just because there was an interfacing piece that was to go on the facing for the skirt. I omitted that just because I didn't want it to be stiff right here, because I felt that that would look weird. I also did not interface both pieces of my collar. I felt that it was stiff enough with one piece of interfacing, and then I didn't want the collar to be so much heavier than the rest of the dress. So yeah, that's really all worth mentioning about the pattern instructions. There was not anything in there that was unclear. And besides it being a lot of steps, it was a pretty quick make. And in addition to these pattern instructions, I also watched a video here on YouTube by, I believe it's Tomcat Stitchery. Don't quote me on that, but I will link her channel below. She has a really thorough sew along that I watched before I even started making this dress. Okay, so let's talk about my dress. So fabric used, I used an uncarved fabric. As far as the size cut, initially I cut out a size 14 for the entire dress, but with the amount of fabric that I took off, this top is probably closer to a 10 and the skirt closer to a size 12. As far as alterations, I did not make any alterations minus just simply omitting the interfacing here and on the facing for the skirt. Does this dress look like the pattern? I will let you be the judge of that, but in my opinion, for sure. So would I make this dress again? Yes. Would I make alterations when I make it again? Just a few, and it's really getting this part of the dress to fit me a little better. As you can see, there is a lot of fabric here, and when I was in the construction, it was very hard and I got super frustrated with this piece right here. I actually had to pull out my seam ripper multiple times just because I needed to get this part to just fit me a little better and not be so gapey right here. Also, one other adjustment that I would make is just bringing this back piece down just a little bit, because as I moved throughout the day and walked, I noticed that my bra strap would become exposed, and so I would adjust that so that I have a little bit more coverage in the back, because I feel like I would want to wear a bra with this dress whenever I would wear it. So is the pattern beginner friendly? I would say this pattern is average. There are a few things in the pattern that may not be beginner friendly. For example, the collar, there is a lot of gathering that happens for the skirts as well as the front of the bodice, but the instructions are very, very thorough. So an adventurous beginner for sure. And as far as first time experiences with this pattern, believe it or not, this was the first time I have sewn a skirt. Which is so crazy because a lot of people start sewing with skirts, but this is the first time that I made one, and of course it was super simple. However, there is a invisible zipper in this one, which gave me a bit of a headache because I do not have an invisible zipper foot, so I had to use my regular zipper foot, and it gave me a lot of difficulty, but I was able to work it out. And since I'm sewing the dress for myself, it does not have to be perfect. But that is it, you guys. That wraps up this pattern review. Hopefully I answered all the questions when it comes to making this dress. If you've made it before or are about to make it and you have any additional questions, of course leave them in the comment box and I will answer them to the best of my ability. If you like this video, don't forget to like this video. So until next time, happy sewing, y'all.